even more brutal than anything else, was what didn't happen. After that wedding ended, there was no chaos, no angry calls, no emotional explosions. And that's exactly what he was expecting. He thought his phone would light up, messages pouring in. Accusations, arguments, drama, because that's what fuels him. That's how he stays important. But this time, nothing came. No calls, no texts, no confrontation, just silence. A cold, empty, suffocating silence, while he stood on the outside, completely shut out. The kids were inside living their lives, laughing, dancing, celebrating. Not one of them reached out, not even out of anger. And that's what makes it devastating, because anger still means you care, but this was something else. They didn't fight him, they erased him. This is the kind of silence that hits harder than any words ever could. The kind that tells you, you don't matter anymore. He's no longer the center of anything. Not their lives, not their emotions, not even their thoughts. He's just gone. And as this entire situation starts to unfold, one thing becomes crystal clear. Everything changed in a single moment. That hot MIC incident, that wasn't just a mistake. It was the beginning of the end. For years, he tried to control the narrative, carefully choosing his words, shaping his image, making sure the cameras only saw what he wanted them to see. But all it took was one moment of carelessness. One live microphone. One slip, and suddenly the truth was out. No filters. No edits. No way to hide. What got exposed wasn't just frustration, it was something much darker. A level of control, bitterness, and resentment that people had only suspected before. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Because this wasn't just any day, this was a moment that wasn't about him. And he couldn't handle that desperation to insert himself, to disrupt, to take control again. That's what revealed everything. And those security gates at the venue, they weren't just there to keep him out physically. They became a symbol. A clear message. He's out. Completely out of the moment, out of their lives, out of their future. And maybe for the first time, there's no way back in. What we're witnessing now isn't just drama. It's a full collapse. The image is gone, the control is gone, and what's left is something no one can defend anymore. This isn't just a downfall. It's the kind of ending people have been waiting years to see. So if you're still trying to process what just happened, if you can't believe how far this situation has gone, then you already know this story is far from over. Because what comes next, it's going to be even bigger. The kind that tells you, you don't matter anymore. Is no longer the center of anything, not their lives, not their emotions, not even their thoughts. Is just gone. And as everything begins to unravel, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. This didn't happen overnight. It was building. Quietly, slowly, under the surface. And then, one moment changed everything. That hot MIC slip. That wasn't just a mistake. That was exposure. For years, he tried to control how the world saw him. Every word measured, every reaction calculated, always performing. But all it took was 1 second of carelessness. One moment where the mask slipped. And suddenly, there was no hiding. No editing. No spinning the narrative. No fixing it later. What came out wasn't just frustration, it was raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. A side of him that people had only guessed at before, now fully visible. And the worst part, it happened during a moment that wasn't supposed to be about him at all. That's what made it so revealing, because instead of stepping back, instead of letting someone else have their happiness, he couldn't do it. That need to control, to interrupt, to pull focus back onto himself. That's what exposed everything. And suddenly, the situation wasn't just uncomfortable. It was undeniable. And that's when everything truly collapsed. Because once people see the truth, they can't unsee it. The illusion was gone. The carefully crafted image shattered in seconds. And there was no coming back from that. Those security gates at the venue, they weren't just there for protection. They became a message loud, clear, final. He's not welcome, not in that space, not in that moment, not in their lives anymore. What used to be a family now feels like a closed door he can't open. No matter how hard he tries. And maybe the most shocking part of all is how calm everyone else was. No scenes. No breakdowns. No chaos. Just peace. They didn't need to fight him anymore. They didn't need to prove anything. They had already moved on. And that's what makes this so powerful, because this isn't revenge. It's detachment. It's the moment someone realizes they're finally free, and while they're stepping into a new chapter, lighter, happier, untouched by the past, He's left standing in the wreckage of everything he lost. No control. No audience. No influence. Just consequences. This isn't just a dramatic twist. This is the ending that's been building for years. And now that it's finally here, there's no rewriting no escaping no pretending it didn't happen, because this time, it's permanent, and now, there's nothing left to hide. Behind no more edits. No more carefully controlled moments. No more illusion. What's been revealed is permanent. For so long, everything looked calculated, controlled. Like every move was part of a bigger plan, but this time, it slipped, and when it did, it exposed something that can't be explained away, because you can't unhear what was said, you can't unsee how far it went. And more importantly, people aren't buying the act anymore. That's what makes this different. This isn't just another controversy, this isn't something that fades in a few days, this stuck. Because it confirmed what so many have been questioning for years. And now, there's no room left for doubt. No benefit of the doubt. No second guessing. No defending it, just clarity. And for the first time, the narrative isn't in his control anymore. It's out there, unfiltered, unstoppable. And while he tries to recover, to explain, to shift the focus, it's already too late. Because the audience sees it now, all of it, the pattern, the behavior, the truth. And once that connection is made, it doesn't go away. This isn't just exposure. It's final. And this is where everything turns, for good, because once the truth settles in, once people fully see it, there's no going back to how things were. No rebuilding the same image. No convincing people it was misunderstood. No rewriting the moment. That version is gone. What's left now is reality, unfiltered, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. And while one side is still trying to process the fallout, the other side has already moved forward. That's the real shift. They are not reacting anymore. They are not engaging. They're not even acknowledging it. They've stepped into a completely different space, one where the past no longer has control over them. And that silence, it keeps getting louder, because it sends a message without saying a single word. We're done. No drama. No closure conversations. No final confrontation. Just distance, permanent, intentional distance. And that's something he can't fight. Because you can argue with anger, you can respond to accusations, you can defend yourself against words, but you can't fight indifference. You can't force your way back into someone's world when they've already decided you don't belong there anymore. That door doesn't just close, it disappears. And now, as everything continues to unfold, one thing is undeniable. This isn't just a temporary fallout. It's an ending. The kind that doesn't come with a dramatic final scene, but with a quiet, irreversible exit. No return. No reset. No second chance to fix it later. Just consequences, catching up in real time. And this time, they're not going anywhere, and now, we're at the point where nothing can be undone. No explanation is strong enough. No apology feels big enough. No excuse can cover what's already been seen, because the damage isn't just public. It's personal. It's deep. It's lasting, and it's changed everything. This isn't about one moment anymore. It's about a pattern people can finally see clearly. And once that pattern clicks, it all starts to make sense. Every reaction, every conflict, every uncomfortable scene from the past. It all connects, and that realization, that's what makes this so powerful. Because now, people aren't just watching, they understand. And when understanding replaces doubt, everything shifts, support starts to move, perspectives change, and the narrative completely flips. What once looked complicated now feels obvious. What once felt debatable now feels undeniable. And that's something you can't reverse. Because even if things quiet down, even if the headlines fade, this moment stays. It lingers. In the way people see him. In the way they talk about him. In the way they remember everything that led up to this. This isn't just fallout. It's a turning point. The moment where everything before it, and everything after it, will never be the same again. And as this story keeps unfolding, one thing is certain. The truth didn't just come out. It stayed. And now, there's only one question left. What happens next? Because when everything falls apart this publicly, there are only two paths forward: own it, or run from it. But here's the problem. Owning it means facing everything, the backlash, the questions, the damage that can't be undone. It means admitting, this wasn't just a misunderstanding, and that's not easy. But running, that comes with its own consequences. Because people don't forget moments like this, they don't just move on like nothing happened. They wait, they watch, they notice what comes next, every word, every reaction, every attempt to shift the story. And if it feels forced, if it feels fake, It only makes things worse that that's the position now. No easy way out. No clean escape, just pressure building from every direction. And while all of this is happening, the silence on the other side continues. No response. No reaction. No reopening of doors, just distance, holding steady. And that contrast, it says everything. One side trying to regain control, the other side completely done. And that's what makes this moment so final. Because when one side stops playing the game ends. No more back and forth. No more drama to feed off, just reality settling in. And now, as people continue to watch this unfold, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. This isn't just another chapter. This is where the story changes forever. And now, the reality of it all hits harder than ever. Because this isn't about a single mistake anymore. It's about exposure. It's about clarity. It's about seeing someone exactly as they are, without filters, without control, without illusions. Every calculated move he ever made, every manipulative moment, every desperate attempt to stay relevant, it's all out there now, and there's no erasing it. Meanwhile, the people who truly matter, they've moved on. They've found peace. They've claimed their happiness. And that silence, that unshakable, deafening silence, it's louder than any argument could ever be. It's final. It's intentional. It's absolute. No calls. No confrontation. No attempts to pull him back in. Just freedom. Just life moving forward. And him? Left to face the consequences alone. Because that's what makes this so devastating. It's not about anger. It's not about revenge. It's about being erased from a story you thought you were the center of. And the world saw it all unfold. Every slip. Every exposed truth. Every misstep. He's no longer the puppeteer. He's no longer in control. He's no longer relevant. And as this saga continues, one thing is certain. This isn't a temporary fall. This isn't a small setback. This is the ultimate reckoning, and it's only just beginning.